Hello, viewers, and welcome to Gap-Saraakaa, and welcome back, Roneel, for a second time.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for your continued support and openness.
Thank you.
Yeah. So today, Roneel joins me to discuss how he overcame and continues to overcome the physical and mental challenges of becoming paralyzed. And if you missed the first interview, we did discuss how this accident happened, and we talked about some very interesting circumstances and opinions that people have had over the years on you being paralyzed, and a lot of them angering for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But we also laughed a lot because we
Yep.
were just like, this is so absurd.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you hadn't had a chance to watch that interview yet, please do so. It's a really great sit down with Roneel, and it takes a lot of vulnerability and strength to share a story like that. So I really appreciated that, and I appreciate you to come back again to discuss another big topic.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's start with the initial thoughts you had upon finding out what your new reality was.
Ooh, yeah. So like when I was in the hospital, I guess like when the doctors, okay, so it kind of started like when I was in the hospital. So doctors came to me, and then when I woke up from my coma, the doctors were like, "Hey, you're paralyzed," and I was like, not focused on that because like when the accident happened, I kind of knew, and then I just didn't focus on that. So then they kind of sent me to like get a psych eval because they thought I was going crazy because I didn't like react to it.
Warranted.
Yeah, right. And then after that, it was like slowly over time, it like I almost built resentment towards like myself because I was like, why did I go? Why did I choose to do
Yeah.
something like this, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, and the reason why it like started building up slowly is because like I couldn't move, right? Like so when I broke my pelvis, I had like an external fixator is what they called it. It's called an X-fix, and it's basically a huge metal bar that's drilled into your pelvis to stabilize. And then I had like stitches and staples in my front, stitches and staples in my spine. They had to rotate me on the bed every like 30 minutes so I wouldn't get bed sores or like pressure sores.
Yeah.
And like that is worse for somebody that's like in a wheelchair. That can like literally kill you if you have one of those. And they're rotating me, and I'm in pain 24/7. I'm on multiple medications like morphine, ketamine, fentanyl. Like I was on everything. And so for me, being fully independent, being the provider of like my family that I had, like when I was with my ex, like I was providing for me, her mom was living with us at the time, providing for her, our dogs, right? Like I was like, I was the man of the house, right?
Yeah.
And then going from that to I can't even pee myself. I can't even go to the bathroom myself. I have to get somebody to put a blanket on me. Like that was like slowly the build up. So mentally it was like exhausting.
Yeah.
There was a point in the hospital where I was like, I just want to take these like tubes that are all attached to me, put it around my neck, and just like end it. Right. And then so that was like very much so at the U of A.
Yeah.
And so when I got to the Glenrose, which is like the rehabilitation hospital here, so 4 months at the U of A, 2 months at the Glenrose, I got there and I was just so done with everything. Like even getting to the shower, the first day I was like, can I take a shower? Like I haven't had a proper shower in 4 months. Like I feel dirty, right? And I like at this point I was just so done with everything.
Yeah.
And to get me in the shower, they had to put me in a lift and like literally lift me up with the hoist on the ceiling and like put me on the shower chair and then wheel me into the shower. And I was like, is this my life? Right. And like there was a nurse there like with a washcloth like wiping me and stuff, and I was like, oh my god, like is this like what I have to deal with now? And then that was like my first like 2-3 days. And then when I started physio and stuff, when they had to like get me up to take my meds and like get me up to like go to OT and PT and then see the rec therapist, I started meeting people that were also in the unit. And I started, then most of the people that I met there were like quadriplegic. So they were paralyzed from the neck down.
Yeah.
No function of their arms, no function of their legs, right? Only could move their head, or sometimes couldn't even do that much. And I was like, oh my God, I have it so much better, right? And I think that's where my mentality switched, was like, somebody will always have it worse, right?
Yeah.
As much as like I can, yeah, this is an unfortunate situation, right?
Yeah.
But somebody can have it worse.
It's interesting. I think that's kind of become your unsaid motto, because you said the exact same thing in the first interview.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, now that you've said it again.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I could see how that could keep somebody motivated to keep going.
Yeah.
Right?
And like, you know, and like there was other people that I met that were like from different wards. So like I was on, it's 3B is the spinal cord injury unit.
Yeah.
And in 4A is like amputee unit, so on the fourth floor. And like I would go outside just to like get fresh air, because it was during COVID, right? So like the only time we could get out of the hospital was to go outside to get fresh air. We weren't allowed to leave.
Yeah.
So there was like a guy that I met, he was like 20 years old, like younger than me, and he was in a car accident and he got both of his legs amputated. And I was like, oh my God, like at least I have my legs, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, he lost both of his legs. Now he has to get prosthetics. Like that sucks. And he's going to be in a wheelchair plus, but like, I mean, with the prosthetics, he can walk, but like, you know, it was still like such an unfortunate circumstance, right? And then he met me and it was like, we had this like thing together where he's like, oh my God, no, but you're in a worse condition. You're paralyzed. You have your legs, but they don't work. And I was like, no, but you don't even have any legs, right? Like, so I think it was like, just like acknowledging that, like, you know what, it could always be worse, but it can always be better, right? And I think that was like the mental side of it. Yeah, and then over time, like when I was with my ex, like that was also mentally straining, because it was like, how do I maintain this relationship and like the person that I was before, and like be that provider, right? And that like that security for her, and like my home basically, but also like learn how to take care of myself, right? So that was also like mentally exhausting. And then we ended up like breaking things off, whatever. And then after that, it was like I learned a lot about myself mentally, because I like got out in the community. I started like meeting more wheelchair users, meeting more people with disabilities. Like I got on a TV show, right? Started modeling, all these things. And then I was like, you know what? Life is good. Like this is probably one of the best things that's happened to me. And I think that has been my biggest motivator, is like, you know what, I can keep doing this. I can advocate for people, be the voice for people that don't want to speak up, right? And then like physically, I think like every day, even till now, is like, it's like a constant like learning battle, right? Like in the beginning, I could barely sit up on my own. Like physio would sit me up and then I would flop down like a noodle. And I was like, oh my God, like this is a struggle. I couldn't even go to the bathroom without falling out of my chair. Like transferring onto the bed, like I was like constantly falling. And then over time, you like build that strength in your arms, your chest, like you build that core strength. And then like now I play sports, right? So it's like before there was no way I would have thought I could do that. And then over time, it's just like, it's like going to the gym. You go to the gym every day, you're going to get stronger. Right? So I think that was like the physical side of it, which is like a constant uphill battle.
The body is so resilient, hey, but only if you allow your mind to make that connection.
Yep. Yeah, that is true. There was, oh, this one's funny. So like when I was at the Glen Rose, so I got there and there's a few people that were obviously there before me. And so there was one guy I met. He was, I think he was like an L1, L2 injury, so lower than mine. And with an L1, L2, you're able to stand and walk a little bit. And if you put the effort in, you could most likely get back to normal. Like, not normal, but as normal as you can be. Like walking with a walker, walking with crutches, or like even walking maybe with a little bit of a limp. And this guy, he could stand and walk with a walker. Like I would see him. And so I saw him a few times and I was like, you know what? I'm a little bit like envious of that. I'm a little bit jealous. Like, you know, and I'm like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to put that, because that's going to come back to me. Right. So I'm like, no, I have to be grateful for what I have. So whatever, my like discharge happened at the Glen Rose 2 months later. I come back like maybe 3 months after that. So this is a total of like almost 6 months later. And I come back for a follow-up. And I went back up to the unit to go say hi to my nurses, right? And
Yeah.
like, be like, hey, look at me, like I'm out of the hospital,
Yeah. Yeah.
And that guy was still there.
Yeah.
And he was like, I can't do anything. I don't want to do anything. And he was just laying in bed screaming the whole time. And he was just
Yeah.
like, oh, nurses. And I was like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
I technically have a worse condition than you,
Yeah.
but yet I'm in a better place because of you don't want to change your mentality to be better. Like,
Yeah.
so that's where I really saw like the mental side of things can really affect how how physical your body can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that life before the accident kind of mentally, I don't know if prepared's the right word, but equipped you to have this mindset? Because I always wonder, like, why does one person think this way and the other one thinks that way? Because you saw the situations and said to yourself, somebody can always be worse off. And I'm just going to be grateful for what I have.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, that person didn't put the same 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, I don't know, because before like I got paralyzed, I was active. Like I went to the gym here and there. I was a little bit overweight. I was always like partying, right? Like drinking and partying with like friends. Like I didn't really care about my health in that way.
Yeah.
And like mentally, like I didn't like for me back then, like yeah, mental health was a thing, but it wasn't. Like I didn't, you know what? I didn't prioritize myself. Let's say that.
Okay.
Like before I got paralyzed, I didn't prioritize myself. I was almost living my life for other people. So like if you think about like my ex-fiance, right? Her mom was there with us. Like I was doing everything kind of for them, right? To keep them happy. Like it was, and then also my friends. Like I was partying with my friends. My friends are always coming over to my house all the time, right?
Yeah.
And it was like I was working one day, the next day, like paycheck comes, oh, party at my house.
Yeah.
Right. So I think like there is that. So I don't think that like mentally prepped me for afterwards, because after it was like I started doing that, but then I was like, no, I need to set the boundary. I can't be living my life for other people. I have to start focusing on myself.
Yeah.
And that's when that switch happened. Yeah.
So it sounds like it was a rude awakening.
Yeah, literally. Like not unwanted, but like it just happened, and I think it happened for the best.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like our community, Indians, Fijians, Indo-Fijians, we have a lot of community support. We have big families.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I wonder, other people who don't have that mentality, like this guy you're speaking of, I wonder if they just didn't have a good support system throughout their life, and then when they ended up in this situation, they just wanted to give up. Whereas some of us who have family and a support system, maybe that also kind of keeps us going.
Yeah. I think that does make sense, because like if my family wasn't there, because like my parents were there at the hospital, like like at the hospital, my mom, they weren't allowing my mom. They were like you can't come, you can only have 2 max visitors. One was like my fiance at the time, like she was on the list, and then my dad, right? And then my mom was like, so you're expecting me not to go see my own son? So like it was basically like my mom was only allowed on the weekends for a certain amount of time. Like they made a special exception, right? And like, and then my like fuas and like uncles and aunts, everyone, they were coming, and we were secretly like sneaking me out to go see them, right? And if I didn't have that support system, I don't think I'd be where I am today. Because that makes a lot of sense. I have friends that like, they don't have big families, or they don't have that community support, and they're like struggling a little bit. Right. Or they like, their accident happened somewhere else and they were alone there, so they were like, why am I going to be alone in a different city? Why don't I just move here? And then they move here and they're even more alone. Right. So I think that does make a lot of sense.
So what gave you, and I guess we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but let's talk a little bit more about what gave you the hope, the strength, the courage to accept your new reality.
Ooh. So at first I think like like, okay, so when I first got paralyzed, like, my ex was always there at the hospital, and I was like, I'm doing all of this for her, right? I was like, I'm here for her, right? And then it was like I saw how hurt my parents were, right? And I was like, I'm gonna keep living to show them that their son is still here,
Yeah.
right? And then it was like a combination of those two things that kept me like
Yeah.
in the beginning going, right? And then my ex and I ended, and I was like, okay, now my at first my purpose was all towards her,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, now that she's gone, what's my purpose,
Yeah.
right? And that's when like I was like, I need to focus on myself. I need to start doing things for my own self. I'm not gonna let somebody that comes into my life like as a love whatever, right? Blind me. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna do these things for me now.
Yeah.
And like even for my parents, like I still do things for them to make them proud, right? And
Yeah.
like they're one of my biggest motivators for sure. And like, yeah, I don't know. I think the whole thing of like, which is also bad. I'm like, oh, what are other people gonna think, right?
Yeah.
Like I forgot the saying in Hindi.
Conchi boli.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, it's like, so I'm like also like I don't want to fit into the stereotype of like where people are gonna be like, oh, ladka gare bait ke kuch nahi kare, right? So I'm like, I also want to prove people wrong, so that's also a motivator.
Yeah.
So I think there's like a mix of like factors of like
Yeah.
why I am where I am and like why I do the things that I do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. And it kind of ties back into the previous comment of, you know, the support system and the family being that support system. But at the same time, they're also your reason.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so, you know, when we think about these other people who don't have as many relationships or aren't as close with their families and parents, then they don't find that sense of purpose and that strength and hope to go on because they're like, who am I doing this for, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think like in the beginning it was a good push for me. Like, you know, like it also shaped me even more to who I am today, right? Because now it's like I don't really. It's not that I don't listen to other people's opinions on what I do. It's like I do take that into factor, but also it's like if I want to do something and if I really want to do it, I'm not going to care what other people say.
Yeah.
Right? If somebody says, "Oh no, you shouldn't do it," I'm going to be like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
Right? Like, what contribution are you giving me to say you shouldn't do that in your life?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't come into your life and say, no, don't do this,
Yeah.
right? Like, so it's like, what makes you dictate that for me? So, like, I think I'm more like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just like more open to living my life for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is almost like, I have a really good friend where I tell this to her all the time. I'm like, well, I said this to her. I was like, I don't know if it's me being selfish, right? But then she also advised me. She was like, no, you did so much for other people. Now it's time for you to be a little selfish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, especially like when I did so many things for other people. Like,
yeah. So you mentioned that you know are doing the TV show and you do commercials now and stuff like that. So how did those things come to be in your life?
Yeah. So what I had met. Okay, so when I first got paralyzed, got out of the Glenrose and everything, I'm home, and then I started attending this place that had like this physio place.
Yeah.
And it was owned by a lady that was in a wheelchair. Okay, so I got really close to her, and then this is like June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. So she invites me to her birthday. So it's like 6 months later after I got discharged.
Yeah.
So she invites me to her birthday, and she's like, "Hey, you should come. You haven't met any other wheelchair user.
Yeah.
You need to start getting out into the community."
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I'm down. So I do this. I go to the dinner, the restaurant, whatever. I meet everyone, and then so I meet everyone, and then one of the women there, she was like, "Hey, my name is Katie," and she's like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm Roneel," and she's like, "Oh, I'm like most of these guys' agent. Like I have a modeling agency or like an agency that I represent people with disabilities." She's like, "What did you like to do before your accident? Like, what do you do now?" And I was like talking to her about it, and she's like, so I told her I love dancing, and she was like, "Oh, do you dance now?" And I told her about this. There's this one group here in Edmonton that like I was told about them, and then I was told to reach out and everything, and because it was like during the time of COVID, they didn't have anything. So then I was explaining this to Katie, and
Yeah.
Katie was like, well, why don't you start your own?
Yeah.
And I was like, huh, I never thought about it,
Yeah.
right? And she's like, yeah, we'll get you on like Canada's Got Talent, we'll get you
Yeah.
on the TV show, this and that. And I was like, yeah, like fine, whatever, right? And then so she took my contact information. As I was driving to the restaurant too, I get a text message from, because the woman that the one that owns that physio place, she was part of season 1 for the show. So she had put my name forward for season 2.
Okay.
So the producer, he had messaged me as I was driving there, and he's like, hey, like, I'm the producer of this show.
Yeah.
Like the lady told me about you. Can you send me over your information? Like, I would love to do a phone call with you,
Yeah.
and I want to get you a part of this. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. So like, he's like, yeah, like you're gonna be part of this. So I get that good news. Then I get the good news of the agent, because she's like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
sign you on the spot. So I got signed on the spot for an agency.
Yeah.
Right. The following weekend, so it was like, that was like a Sunday or something, and then a Saturday, there was another party that I had to go to. It was one of the wheelchair guys. It was his girlfriend's birthday, so he
Okay.
invited me. And I run into Katie, my agent, right?
Yeah.
And I kept thinking about what she said. Why don't you start your own?
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, I've always danced for somebody else. Like, I've
Yeah.
always danced part of groups. I was like, why don't I start my own? Right? And I was like, okay. So I go to this party. We have a few drinks, and I'm like, oh my god, Bolly wheels.
Yeah.
And like, it just clicked, and she's
Yeah.
like, yes, it's happening.
Yeah.
So like that, so basically she took that, pitched it to the producer of like Push, like the
Yeah.
show, and then he was like, yes, that's what we're doing. So then I had to put together a group,
Yeah.
because I was like, I just have this idea now.
Yeah.
So now I have to put together an actual group to get it on the show. So
Yeah.
then ended up reaching out to a friend that I used to dance with, like, oh, now it's been like, well, we danced together at U of A in 2017, so like 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Danced together for a year and a half. So I still had like really good contact with her. And I was like, hey, I know you're the president now of the group. Do you have a few dancers? Like, this is my idea. This is what happened. Like, what do you say? Right?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I got people for you. I got
Yeah.
people for us. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Put together this group. Literally, we started filming like 3-4 months after that.
Yeah.
And then, that's how I ended up on the show. And then, and then from that, like, just my popularity has gone a little bit up. And then because of that, like, gotten more gigs, like starting to model, right? Like being part of other TV shows, even my dance group, like getting more bookings and stuff, right? Performing all over the city. Like, just because of that.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So before those two things transpired, what were your thoughts along the lines of career and what you were going to do with your life, essentially?
See, and that's the thing. I didn't know. I was so like, because like my school history is so messed up. Like, I'll tell you a little bit about that.
Okay.
So I was in school I was majoring in accounting, minor in finance, right? I was in school for that. I did 3 years of it. And I was like, you know what? This is not for me. I don't like this. So I dropped it. I ended up switching over to become a paramedic. So I did my MFR, I did my EMT course. I was literally about to graduate that course.
Yeah.
And so literally about to graduate everything. And then my accident happened. So COVID happened. And then it was like, my driving was basically the last thing that I had to do to get my certification. And they kept starting it, canceling, reschedule. Like, it was a mess during COVID. And then it was like the Monday it got scheduled, technically Sunday. So like I went sledding or tobogganing like Saturday night, now Sunday.
Yeah.
So my accident happened the day before my final.
Yeah.
So I was like going to be a paramedic, and I was like, oh my God, like now this happened. And I'm like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Right. So I like ended up contacting, because I was working at the hospital as a porter, and they knew that something happened. And then I was like, well, what do I go back to work doing? Do I go, like, how am I supposed to transport patients in a wheelchair? I'm in a wheelchair myself.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be transporting patients in a stretcher or in a chair. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
So then they offered to put me as like a dispatcher and stuff, but I was still like also like recovering from my injuries.
Yeah.
I was still on so many meds, right? It was
Yeah.
a lot. And then also like having to rely on other people for rides,
Yeah.
right? Like that was also difficult, right? Because I was like, I'm so independent. I don't want to do this, right? Like, I don't want to, like, it wasn't, I don't want to work. I don't want to rely on somebody. So I was like doing that for a bit, and then I got sick. the breakup happened, so mentally it was a lot. And then I was just like, I don't know what I want to do, right? And then I like started working again, and then I got sick again. It was just like a lot of like mental stress. And then I was busy with the show, so I was like, ooh, do I want to pursue this full time?
Yeah.
Right? And then with my dance group, like doing that, and then it was like I was picking up occasionally at the hospital, and then I was like, no, I need to like one or two shifts maybe a month at the hospital is not enough. Like I need to make sure that I have something that's like sustainable. And then I was like, acting and modeling, like as if, right? Like I was like, what Fijian guy does that? Like, I was like, this is not something that's sustainable. Like I'm not going to be doing this kind of thing.
I know a couple Fijian guys who are actors, by the way.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, this is, no one's gonna believe, like, I was like, this is not a real thing, this is fake kind of thing. And I was just like, I didn't believe in myself, so I was like, I don't know. And I was like, maybe the dance stuff, but then I was like, no, this is all just for this show kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. And then after that, I was like, let me go back into accounting. Literally did one semester, not even. And I was like, I actually hate this so much.
You're like, I still can't do it.
Yeah, I was like, I can't. Like I love numbers. The math side of it, love it. But I can't sit at a desk and just do the same thing over and over again. I was like, I feel like my personality just doesn't match that. Like I'm such like an outgoing person. I like to talk to people. My ultimate goal is to help people.
Yeah.
And so I ended up switching over, and now I'm majoring in bio-sci, minor in psych.
Oh, so you're still in school?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize.
Yeah, so like little late, but
it's never too late.
Yeah, it's like better late than never, right? And I was like, even if it takes me 10 years to get this degree, I'll be happy. And I'm like, now I'm working at Apple, right? So like, that's a really good job right now that I have. I pick up occasionally at the hospital. My business is taking off. Like, so it's like I have all these things that I have like this backup plan, or like this cushion that I can rely on.
Yeah.
And it's like I've been taking my modeling stuff more seriously, or my acting stuff, right? And like just focusing on myself again. Yeah. There was a quote that I saw. It was like when so accident happened, I started meeting people, right? All of that. So I got in a better place, and then it was like the show kind of stopped, like we stopped filming, and I was like, well, now what? Right? Like that occupied like 10 months of the year, and I was like, well, I don't know if there's going to be a season 3. Like, I don't know how serious this is. Now what am I doing with my life, right? Yeah. And at that time I saw a quote on Instagram, and I was like, this is before I decided to go back to school. Yeah. It said, what you're not changing, you're choosing. So
profound,
right? If there's something in your life that you don't like, yes, like, you know what, I don't like wearing the color black, yeah, right, but I'm not doing anything to change it, yeah, like going outside, whatever, right? Yeah, I'm choosing to stay with that, right? So like that was one of the biggest things, and now I say that to everyone. I'm like, what you're not changing, you're choosing. Yes. So if you don't like something in your life, do something to change it. Yeah. Whether it's like, you know what, I want to go to the gym at 5 a.m, right? But you know what, maybe it's a little bit hard for me to go to the gym at 5 a.m, but you know what, let me start changing something out of my sleep habit. I'll wake up at 5. Maybe I won't go to the gym, but I'll start waking up at that time, right? And slowly, you know what, you'll make yourself there. Or I go to the gym, maybe I do a 30-minute workout rather than a 2-hour long.
Yes,
right?
That's actually a really good point too, because I think that's what deters people from making changes or doing things as well, because they get overwhelmed, right? Yeah. They're like, okay, I want to start a business and let's just pick a random number, make $30,000 a year in this business. Then they're like, okay, but like, how do I get there? And then they're thinking of all the things. And you're like, okay, just break it down. Just do one thing at a time. Exactly. Yeah. It's like that saying, like, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? Like, it's one step at a time, one stone at a time. Like, everything has to be broken down into little things. And it's like, when you look at it in that way, like, if you're like, I'm here and I want to be up here, there's no way. Like, you're going to get lost in between. Right. If you want to get here, you have to also get here, 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 and then you'll get up here. Right. And it's like, look at what that first step is. Yeah. Once you can get there, then you can look higher. Yeah. And I think that's what's like kept me going, is like, I'm not looking too far ahead in the future. Yeah. Let me just plan out my year. Yeah. Right.
I know what I want to do in my 5-year, 10-year goal, but like,
Yeah.
you know what? Let me just focus on each
Yeah.
year at a time.
Yeah, that's such a great example because I mean, you could have woken up from your coma
Hmm.
and then been like, oh my God, I can't do anything, right?
Yep.
But instead, you were like, okay, let me get better. Let me get through these surgeries. Let me get these tubes out of me.
Yeah.
Let me be able to get out of this bed and step by step by step by step. And look at you now.
Literally, yeah, like first, yeah, it was wake up out of the coma, get my health better, make sure I don't have any
Yeah.
tubes in me,
Yeah.
like figure out how to navigate in my chair, build that relationship with my parents, like figure out my living situation, right? And then school and then work. And then now it's like I have my business and everything. And now it's like I play sports, like,
Yeah.
right? I didn't think, like, if you asked me this 4 years ago, there's no way I would have said, oh, I'm going to be playing
Yeah.
sledge hockey professionally. There's no way.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the rules of hockey. Like,
Yeah.
and now I'm playing it professionally. Like,
So it's been a great conversation so far. I'm going to ask you one last question, and that is, did you seek any counseling to help you navigate life after the accident?
yeah, so like in the beginning, so when I was at the Glenrose, I basically, okay, sorry, when I got paralyzed, doctors came, they had to do a psych eval
Yes.
because I didn't register, or like I just didn't acknowledge the fact that I got paralyzed. So doctors were like, he's going crazy, sent me for a psych eval, and then they basically made me go see the psychologist every single day.
Yeah, because they were
And
like, tumad-dimag, right?
yeah, and like, iski dimag kharab ho gaya. Like, start again.
Yeah.
And so basically I had to see the psychologist every single day, and I was like, I was so tired of it. It was like get up at 8 or get up at 7, get up at 8 or whatever, and then it was like 1 hour of like go to the bathroom, kind of eat breakfast, whatever. Then it was like an hour and a half of PT, an hour and a half of OT, then it was lunch, then it was an hour and a half of seeing the rec therapist, and then at the end of the day go see the psychologist.
Yeah.
And like every single day, and it was like I would show up and it'd be like, hey, how's it going, how's your day? And it's like same as yesterday,
Yeah.
same as the day before, like
Yeah.
here kind of thing. And so I was like, I was getting annoyed, whatever, and then I was like, can we just do this once a week kind of thing? And he's like, yeah, sure. So then basically what happened was yeah, so we started doing it once a week, and then eventually he was like, hey, do you know much about ADHD? And I was like, no. And he's like, well, I think you have ADHD.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, like, stop diagnosing me with more things
Yeah.
than fixing one problem, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm here because I broke my spine.
Yeah.
Fix that before you start adding more problems. I have more things to worry about, like bigger things to worry about than these little things that you keep adding on.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, but I think you should like really like get in tune with it. And I was like, nope, like I could care less. So continued seeing him, whatever, and it was just like mandatory. It was almost like a checklist at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like this is one thing I have to check off at the end of the week or on my list to get out of here.
Yeah.
Because you had to have like mandatory amount of certain things before you could leave. My goal was just to get out.
Right.
So just another check on the list.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, after that, yeah, basically like I was kind of busy. Like I met all my friends in the wheelchairs or whatever, right? I did the show and everything, and that was like 2023, 2024. Kind of started struggling a little bit because it was like the show had stopped filming. Now I'm like, what am I gonna do with my life, right? So I was in that moment. I was like, well, I don't know what to do, and that 2024 year was like such a heavy year because I was really deciding who was staying in my life, who wasn't, right? And do I keep people that have been in my life for 10 years
Yeah.
that I maybe don't get along with now, like I don't have the same values or like our morals don't align, or do I continue and invest in the friendship that I've with the person that I've only met maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, and I like really, really align with them. And at that point I was like, I really need to see somebody about this, right? So I started going to therapy. I met my counselor, my therapist or whatever, and then started talking to him about it. And it was really insightful because it was like, he gave me the analogy that in life people walk on a path, right? And at a point that path can split in a fork.
Yeah.
Right? Like that fork in the road. and like you may be on one path, they may be on another, and eventually those paths might cross again,
Yeah.
or they might not, and that's the end of your journey together. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, like that was a really big eye-opening factor for me because it like gave me that different perspective,
Yeah.
right? And like that's why I like going to therapy, for like that other perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I have one really good friend that like also convinced me to like go to therapy. Like, she always told me like go get that help. Like it's good to talk to somebody with a neutral perspective, because
Yeah.
like I can go to my friends and talk to them about anything or whatever, right? And I'm like, but at the end of the day, they're your friends, so they're going to be
Right.
more inclined to be biased towards you.
Yes.
And I was like, the reason why I started going to therapy was to get that neutral bias, and like also like understand maybe I could be at fault, right?
Hmm.
And like that's why I go to my therapist, like, hey, like this is the situation, this is what presented itself, like what maybe could I have done differently,
Mm-hmm.
what could they have done, and like like my therapist gives me the tools, like, hey, how would you have felt if you were in that person's shoes?
Mm-hmm.
How would your perspective be? Would you have reacted the same way as this other person did?
Yeah.
Or would you have reacted different? And I'm like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I probably would have reacted the same way. And now it gives me like the chance to pull myself back and take like a few seconds to reflect and
Yeah.
like before I
Yeah.
respond. Right?
So, correct me if I'm wrong in summing this up, but would you say that going for counseling
Mm-hmm.
helps you grow because it helps you challenge your own perspective and take accountability for what your actions and your words may have been in a certain situation?
Oh, 100%. Like, yeah, like at any point, like, I could think I'm 100% right,
Mm-hmm.
but you put yourself in that perspective or that other side, right? And you look at it from that neutral perspective. Don't look at it from I'm right, right?
Mm-hmm.
That other person's wrong. Take that step back and look at it from that neutral
Mm-hmm.
perspective, and it's like, you know what? I might have been 80% right,
Yeah.
but I can acknowledge that the other person was also 20% right,
Yeah.
right? None of us were wrong, but that person was also right
Yeah.
in their defense, right? And like I think that's where therapy helps, is like it gets you into that growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you the tools to deal with difficult situations yourself. Like I have a friend, one of my closest friends, and the one that like told me to go to therapy and stuff.
Yeah.
She always tells me like, you know, you have your therapist, and I was going like once a week, once every like 3 days, once a week, or like twice a week. And then it was like for every week for a month, and then it was like then I started going bi-weekly. Then it was just like, okay, maybe I'll go like once a month,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was once every 3 months, once every 6 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been a few months since I've gone.
Yeah.
But like my friend, what she told me is like, your therapist is supposed to give you the tools to deal with these situations yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to always run to your therapist and be like, you know what, I had this situation, help me,
Yeah.
right? If the therapist can't give you those tools to do it yourself, that means you don't have a good therapist. Like, I'll be
Yeah.
honest, right? So if your therapist can give you the tools, and if you have that growth mindset, you're able to deal with those difficult situations yourself. Yeah, something big happens in your life
Yeah.
and you're like, you know what, I need that support. Okay, go,
Yeah.
right? Go for those big situations. But the little things, like,
You should become more and more equipped to deal with those things yourself.
exactly,
Yeah.
like, be more independent, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's also like what it's preparing you for, is like, how do I be more independent mentally
Mm-hmm.
so I can deal with this, right? Something bad happened, somebody says like F you on the road, they're like,
Yeah.
something like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go cry to my therapist and be like, oh my god, like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I like was like, you know what, I could have braked a little bit earlier rather than slamming it and like braking
Yeah.
somebody. Like, it gets you to think like, okay, maybe I could have done this better, instead of
Yeah.
like, oh my god, somebody swore at me on the side of the road today. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need to run to your therapist about little
Yeah.
things like that,
Yeah.
right? If they give you the right tools,
Yeah.
because you should be able to deal with those situations yourself. So I think it's like, yeah, once you get those tools, once you're like mentally equipped for it, it's a really good thing. Because like at the end of the day, like even like back in the day with like the older generation, right? Like
Yeah.
without that counseling, I've like noticed with the older generation, like emotions build up, everything happens, they
Yeah.
explode, right? And it leads into like generational trauma,
Right.
right? And it like trickles down into us, and then it's like, how do we stop this,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like going to therapy gives us the tools to stop that there,
Yeah.
so we're able to deal with it like when we have kids or like
Yeah.
nieces, nephews, right? Like the next
Yeah.
generation, like, so we're not making those same mistakes, and we're not trauma dumping on them.
Yeah. I think what the issue is, especially with men in our community, is it's hard to kind of like always reflect back on yourself or open this door or this window that's never been opened before,
Yeah.
and be like, what's in here, or what's under the couch.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when people do go for therapy, they have a bad experience which deters them. So it's interesting because you said when you were seen by a psychologist or whatever their credentials were in while you were in the hospital, it put you off,
Yeah.
right? But then life situations happened, you came around and you sought it out for yourself. So it's very interesting that you gave it another chance. A lot of people don't.
Yeah, yeah, I think, and that's a big thing. Like, I mean, even after when I came back to it in 2024, like, it took me like a good like, I had to see 3 different people before I found somebody that I actually like really, really
Yeah.
connected with, right? And like, I think that's the biggest thing is like seeing someone, like seeing a therapist that's not just there to be transactional, not somebody that you're just giving your money to, they're giving you advice.
Yeah.
It's somebody that actually cares. It's somebody that wants to see you be better.
Yeah.
It's somebody that wants to help you, right?
Similar to how you were talking about even with your friend circle, you were at a point in life where you had to decide which ones you're going to continue giving your energy to, because it's not endless. We
No.
only have a certain amount to give. And so even with choosing a therapist or a counselor, you do have to pick somebody who you vibe with, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like even going back to like how you said like the men in our society, like yeah, like being a Fijian male, it's so hard some days because it's like growing up we're taught boys don't cry.
Yeah.
Boys provide, right? Like you got to take care of your family. Like agar tum nahi karega, like go and find out. Like what is your purpose,
Right.
And I think with that mentality, it's hard, right? Like from going to being like from being the provider of my family, like of not like excluding my parents and my sister, right? Like they had theirs, but like when I moved out when I was with my fiance, like it was me providing for like her and the dogs, and then her mom moved in with us, right? And then it was like it was a lot mentally, and like getting paralyzed, I was still stuck in that where I was like, I have to provide for them. So I didn't want to like, I was like, what's my quickest way out of here so I can get back to doing that? And I had to realize like, no, you know what? I have to take a step back from this. I have to provide for myself first before I can provide for them. Right. And that's where, and then the breakup happened, all that. And then it really got me thinking like, you know what? I have to take care of myself first. If I'm not good mentally, how am I supposed to be good mentally? How am I supposed to help other people mentally? Right. And like, you know, I think I don't even know if we talked about this in the first time, but like, you know, it goes back to like the mental side of things. Like I've noticed this in Fiji. I've talked about this with my parents, where it's like, you don't see people in wheelchairs.
Yeah, we did touch on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Where it's like, they could be physically disabled, but at the end of the day, they end up mentally disabled because somebody's doing something for them. They're in that mind space. They're in that mindset, that headspace, right? And it's like they're not going to get better because they're not seeking counseling. They're not doing anything to make their mind active or anything, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's also like a really a benefit of counseling is like it almost tickles your brain, like because it's like, you know what? Let me listen to what this therapist is saying to me, and it's like, okay, I could think I'm right, or I could think that I was doing the situation the best that I could, but it's like, okay, now this person says this, and it's like, oh, well, maybe I could have handled it differently. Maybe I could have done something different. Maybe I could have did it a little bit like this, and it's like, now you get that going, and you start thinking about that, and it just like it's almost like a can of worms. Like you open one, and it's like, you know, you start sorting out all these problems, and it's like your whole mindset shifts, and then it's like everything about you shifts, and then you start growing into the person that you actually want to be when you start doing those things.
Yeah. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. The first one was great as well, and
Thank you.
I'm appreciative of the second conversation. And again, like I said at the beginning, your vulnerability, your transparency, your willingness to share your experience. I think it's really great for others out there to see what others are going through and learn from their experiences. And you've experienced quite a bit in life, so we're happy to gain some awareness and knowledge from it. Thank you so much
Thank you for
for
having
being
me.
here. Yeah.
Thank you.
So until next time, viewers, thank you.